Back inside Big 12 today here exclusively on TuneIn on Big 12 Radio. Watched on Big 12 Studios. Just had Pete Sousa from Inside the 12 here on Big 12 Studios, ESPN and NBC play-by-play to talk all things Baylor. Speaking of Baylor, Ari, what a night last night in Big 12 men's basketball. The Big 12 goes 7-0 as the Players Era tournament kicked off. Baylor, Kansas, Houston, Arizona State beats Texas out in Maui, all winners last night. The league could not have had a better night. Headlined by Baylor, kicking off the Players Era tournament with an 81-74 win over Creighton. They dominated physically. They had 45 rebounds to Creighton's 28, including 22 offensive rebounds. Creighton made a little bit of a run late in the game, but Baylor's Cameron Carr was fantastic. He cleaned up his own miss for a putback with 25 seconds left. That pushed the lead to 5, and then he hit a couple of free throws. He also blocked a 3 with 8 seconds left to seal it, and even though Creighton made a bunch of threes, they had 11 in the game. The rebounding was the difference, and Baylor, with a completely new roster, just manhandled the Blue Jays.
Yeah, Baylor took control in the second half. They were down by 2, and a 10-0 run that opened the second half got them out to a 46-38 lead, and they kind of never looked back after that, and were pretty much in control the entire time. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think coming into the season, there were teams that we knew about and figured what they would look like, and I don't know that we had a great sense of how good Baylor was going to be. We know Scott Drew's a hell of a coach, that he he's won a national title and has been one of the best programs, has led one of the best programs in the country. But I think there were just so many unknowns, and they've been impressive, probably the most impressive team to start the year, just overall. Now, I think the one thing when you look at them overall, they have an explosive offense, but the defense continues to struggle, and that's really the last 3 seasons been kind of the issue for Baylor. But beyond that, I mean, this is a great start for them, and it's fun to see because this was a huge unknown coming into the year based on the players and the personnel.
Something that is fun to see and something that was fun to listen to was the Creighton radio team absolutely losing their minds in the second half of this game as the lead started to expand for Baylor.
Shot clock. Carr into the paint. Missed the dunk. And a blocking foul. What are you talking about? That was 2 seconds after the play ended. Carr driving. He's outside the circle. He's outside the circle and he's set. He was outside the circle and he was set. Brett Smith blew it. He was outside the restricted area. He was straight up and down. He was set like the statue sitting out in front of New York, and they called that. That's an absolutely horse crap call. In a game that's been played out like this. Unbelievable bailout call by an incompetent referee. And ball don't lie.
That is John Bishop, the Creighton radio play-by-play announcer, on the call for Baylor and Creighton. Baylor gets the 7-point win.
Well, and James, knowing John, John Morris, the voice of the Baylor Bears, like we do, I can't imagine him ever reacting like this. It was, he's not wrong. If you watch the replay of the play itself, like, it felt like minimal contact. I mean, sometimes it's really weird in basketball when, like, There can be a lot of contact and there's no call, and then there's like very minuscule contact, like in this case, and there's a call. And I would imagine the broadcaster feels like that's a really big defensive possession there. And, Creighton was down, but if they get a stop there, they have a chance. And so I think the guy was just losing his mind because they not only didn't get a stop, it was an and one, but obviously the free throw was missed anyways, but it was a incredible reaction. You don't hear that very much. I mean, he just lost his mind. And the funny part is, if you're listening to that, if you just turn on the radio and you hear that, you must be thinking like, oh, wow, like this game may have just come down to that play. And it was like with 2 minutes left.
Still a lot of ball left in that one. Baylor gets the 7-point win. Kansas got a win. Houston in overtime gets past Syracuse. We'll have more on these games later, but Iowa State at the Players Era tournament. Number 14 Iowa State takes down number 15 St. John's. This game was close throughout the entire contest. It had 8 lead changes in the second half. Came down to the final seconds, but Iowa State clamped down defensively. St. John's and Big East Player of the Year candidate Zuby Ejiofor's 3 rimmed out at the buzzer, and Iowa State got the win. But maybe the most notable thing, because he's been injury-plagued throughout his career, Iowa State senior point guard Tamin Lipsey left the game with a lower body injury late in the contest. Don't know what his status is going to be moving forward. Either way, though, Iowa State got a massive win for the league.
Yeah, but it did not look good. Lipsey appeared to be in tears. So, it did not. There was complete silence in the building when it happened. And, kind of amazing that Iowa State was able to compose itself enough to win this game, which came down to the end. And we had a lot of these last night. Late last night in Maui, Arizona State did that to Texas. But Lipsey had 16 points, 5 assists, and a steal before exiting the game. And then Otzelberger said after the game that his status is day-to-day, that he suffered a lower body extremity injury. So, we'll see. The Cyclones are set to take on Creighton this afternoon. I can't imagine we'll see him in this game, but hopefully long-term things are okay. And this is, look, injuries always dictate outcomes of season, but it feels like with Iowa State, like last year they just couldn't seem to get healthy. Like they played at a really high level and just couldn't seem to get healthy. And this would be a devastating injury for a experienced team. And it feels like Lipsey too. He said, remember he had an eye thing a couple of years ago. Like he can't seem to get right either. So hopefully this isn't long term, but certainly looks bad and did not look good at the start.
Yeah, he had the eye thing. Then last year he had the hand injury. It was his non-shooting hand, but he missed a lot of time. Milan Momcilovic was massive. 23 points, hit 5 threes in the game as Iowa State gets the 1-point win over St. John's. Houston beat Syracuse in overtime, got a little bit of a scare. Kansas gets past Notre Dame by 10. But let's give Arizona State a little bit of love. This is a different tournament. This is the Maui Invitational. Arizona State stunned Texas 87-86. With about 5 minutes to go, Arizona State, they were down, but then Maurice Odom just took over. He scored 7 straight points. Then there was an offensive rebound by the big guy, Masamba Diop, who turned into a 3-point play with the old school and one. Diop then had a hook shot in the lane with less than a minute to go to tie it at 84, and then with 10 seconds left, Odom hit a go-ahead step-back three-pointer from the top of the key to give Arizona State a really big win, I would say, for Bobby Hurley and that staff. 87-86. They beat Texas last night late in Maui.
Yeah, the Mo Odom game, he was incredible in this game. This will be, I think to start the year, I don't know that there's been anybody better than Mo Odom so far. What do you have, 36 in this one? And like last year's Arizona State team may have had more top-end talent, but it feels like the pieces fit a little bit better. I want to reserve judgment over the course of the season because who knows? But this is a big-time win for Arizona State. Texas has had a consistently good program. They're perennial, NCAA tournament teams. They've got a ton of talent. And I thought, defensively, Arizona State played great. Texas turned the ball over 19 times. So that was huge in this game. But 36 points, 6 threes, 16 of 18 for the free throw line. Odom was getting to the foul line. And then that three-pointer, he makes the step back that put Arizona State up front. That is a hell of a win last night for Arizona State.
And Maurice Odom is a transfer from Pepperdine. 4-star transfer, but he was a no-star kid out of high school. He's from the Bronx, New York. Ends up at Pepperdine. Also played at Pacific a couple of seasons to start his career. Had a huge tournament run last year in the West Coast Conference tournament. Pepperdine made a deep run. They made the semis. He averaged 22 points a game in that tournament. Was all freshman team 2 years ago. So great find by Arizona State to nab him in the portal. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. We are brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by Modelo. Our Big 12 games of the week on Friday. On a Black Friday, we have Arizona at Arizona State here on Big 12 Radio at 8 p.m. Central. And then on Saturday, you can catch Texas Tech at West Virginia at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central here on the channel. Hour number 2 of the show is coming up next. We'll be joined by Brian Thornton, the VP of men's basketball for the Big 12, to talk about the Players Era tournament and everything that goes on there with the new agreement that the conference has signed. But up next is our Big 12 weekly award winners from the conference as we head back to the gridiron. This is Big 12 Today exclusively on TuneIn.